Hi guys, so this is going to be my labor and delivery story. My daughter was born on February 12th at 6:55 in the morning. She weighed 7 pounds, 10.8 ounces, and she was 19 inches long. My throat is really bad right now because I got a cold. Like, the day after I had her, I woke up, I had no voice, like my head hurt, and I don't know if I got sick from being in the hospital or just being up all night, or I've been sick in 9 months and then now I'm sick. So anyway, this all started, I got my notes right here. Friday, February 10th, I put my daughter on the school bus. I drove my son to preschool. I was home with my husband because he had been sick with a stomach bug all week. So me and him were home together for a little while. 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying on my bed in my bedroom here, and my husband was laying next to me, and all of a sudden, like, I felt the baby moving, like, real low down, like, moving her head around, and then I felt like a pop, and I'm like, and then I felt, like, fluid coming out, and I'm, like, wondering what it is, like, because my water never broke with my daughter or my son, so I never experienced this before. So I'm laying there, and it feels like wet, and I stand up, and it kind of stops, and my husband's like, well, go to the bathroom. So I go in, and I pee, and I stand up, and it's still, like, all gushing, like, all down my leg and stuff like that, so I'm like, I think my water broke. And I was really nervous because when I had my daughter, I was already in labor when they broke my water, but when they broke my water, the contractions started coming really, really fast, really painful. So I didn't know at what point, like, when it was going to start hurting, what was going on. So I'm standing in the bathroom, I'm calling up my doctor. And the lady on the phone service was so funny, which my husband's saying she's supposed to be calm, but she's like, so what's going on? What time's your water break? Okay, I'm going to call the doctor. And she's so calm, and I'm like, okay, because she could tell I was really, like, nervous, I guess. But, so 10 o'clock my water broke. The doctor, the answering service, like, called me back, and they said, we want you to go in for, a doctor's appointment at 11:30 to confirm that my water broke and that I was going in labor. So, and this was, my doctors have 2 offices, and this office I'd never been to, and it was like an hour away. So we called up Grandma to get my son from preschool, and we went down the hour ride to the doctor, and the contractions were like, they were starting to kind of hurt. They weren't regular by any means. So we get down there at 11:30 was my appointment. They got me right in, which I was so nervous about sitting in the waiting room and being, like, in pain. But they, like, as soon as I sat down, they called my name, so I went in there. And they hooked me up to the monitors, and they had me lay back on the table like this. So for anyone whose water broke, or have you, like, heard about it or whatever, you know that when you stand up, the fluid stops coming out because the baby's head's, like, blocking it. When you lay down and the head moves up, it's all coming again. But they wanted me to lay back. So I'm laying there on top of these, like, 2 little pads, and it's, like, coming, and I'm, like, so embarrassed because I'm laying there for a while because they want to get a good tracking of the baby's heartbeat and the contractions. And it's just, I'm, like, soaked. And I told the nurse I'm, like, so embarrassed. And she's like, no. But they had to, like, change everything, and it's, like, dripping, and I'm like, ugh. So anyway, they monitored me for a while, but the contractions were still really far apart, really irregular. Baby looked great. So they said they didn't want to send us home because we lived an hour away. By the time we got home, like an hour ride home, an hour ride back. So they were like, we'll just, go for a walk, go get something to eat, hang out a while. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, we left the doctor's office and we went to go eat pizza at this place that my husband wanted to go to anyway because his mom used to work there and he knew the pizza was really good. So we went there, and it was so funny because I take my coat off, and I still got my big belly, and the waitress goes, oh, when are you due? And me and my husband just start laughing, and he's like, oh, any hour now, because we told her that, we were told to go walk around and eat and stuff like that, and the baby was coming, and she was like, oh, I said, don't get nervous. I said, it's okay. And she's like, oh, good, because I don't know anything about delivering babies, just pizzas. So that was funny. So we ate. And, like, we're eating pizza, and I'm breathing through the contractions that are coming, but they're still not regular or anything. So, after we ate, at 2 o'clock to 3:20 in the afternoon, we went to the mall and just walked around. And it was hard because my husband had been sick for a week, so he couldn't really walk around. Like, he didn't have a lot of strength still. So walking around for him was like taking everything out of him, but I had to walk. So I'm like, what do we do? So we walked around for like almost an hour and a half, and we're like, we don't know what to do. So we called the doctor, and we're like, contractions are coming. They're still not regular. They're not every 5 minutes, 2 minutes, anything. But what are we going to do? You know? So they said, come into the hospital. So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we got to the hospital, and they checked me. When they checked me at the doctor's office at 11:30, I was 1 centimeter, which is the same I had been the day before, because Thursday I had a doctor's appointment and got checked, and I was 1 centimeter, and the doctor told me, oh, no, baby, yeah, we'll see you next week, and then, lo and behold, the next day, we were in labor. But when we got to the hospital at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they checked me, I was 2 to 3 centimeters, 80% effaced, and a -2 station. So, things were happening, but still not fast. And when I was in labor with my daughter, by the time I got to the doctor's office for them to check me, I was already 5 centimeters. And the contractions that were coming were kind of painful, so I was like, if I'm in this much pain, I'm only 2 to 3 centimeters, I can imagine how it's going to be later on. So, 11 o'clock p.m., they checked me again, and I was only 3 centimeters. So I'm like, this is taking forever. And at this point, I only had a 24-hour clock. I had to deliver her by 10 o'clock the next morning because my water had broken at 10 o'clock Friday morning, and they only let you go 24 hours. So they gave me IV pain medicine around 11 o'clock because it just hurt really bad, and I'm like, I'm never going to get through this because all my energy was, like, being used up already. So, that was for a while. They told me that IV pain med could last between 2 and 4 hours, and it only lasted like 2 hours before I could feel everything again. And before the IV, I was like, we walked the halls of the hospital, and I went in the shower. I wanted to go in the tub, and I think I talked about this in another video. They had a birthing tub that I was told I could labor in but not deliver in because it was a VBAC delivery. And when I got there, the nurse told me they had to correct the doctor and tell me that I couldn't go in the tub at all. So I was really bummed out because from when I had my daughter 6 years ago, I've been trying to have not even a water birth, but at least be able to go in the water. But I couldn't. But I could go in the shower because they had me, it wasn't continuous fetal monitoring, but it was like that because I had to be on the monitor for 20 minutes of every hour. So they'd monitor me, but then they could take it off. So I could walk around, I can go in the shower, which I did for a little while. They had the spray nozzle that came down, so I put that on my belly and my back, and that worked for a little bit. But then around 1 a.m., they started the IV for the intrathecal, and at 1:45 I got the intrathecal, which they also call the spinal, in my back, which is what I had with my daughter, which I liked because it numbs your whole belly area, but you can still feel your legs, you can still move around. So, at 2:50 in the morning, they checked me again, and I was 7 centimeters. So, things are moving. And, the intrathecal, you kind of had to wait for it to wear off a little bit before you could push, even when you got to 10. So, I was starting to feel things again. I was holding on the back of the bed, and my husband was so great through all this. Every time I'd have a contraction, I would, like, hold on to the back of the bed, and he would rub the bottom of my back because it hurt so bad. Like, I was laying on my back, and my back hurt. So I rolled over to try to get the pressure off my back and hang on the back of the bed, and it still hurt. So he would rub the bottom of my back and make it feel better. And I was saying, like, I don't know if I would have been able to do it without him because it hurt so bad, and, like, him rubbing that made it feel better that I could actually get through to the next one. So that went on for a while, and he still didn't feel good, and he's up there doing everything. And so they were waiting. They kept checking me, and I was 10 centimeters, but there was like a little bit of the lip of the cervix left or something. So they had to wait for that to go away. And then they checked me again not long after that, and I was 10. So they're like, you can push. So I was pushing and pushing with the nurse for a while, and they had to get her under the pubic bone, which was like the big thing. So I'm like pushing and pushing, and it hurt so bad because the intrathecal was like worn off. So I'm pushing with the contractions. And I asked the nurse, I said, is this doing anything? Because I couldn't feel if she was coming down or not. But then, at the same time, the contractions were getting less and less frequent. So they were talking about giving me some Pitocin to try to get it going. And all the while I'm worried about ending up with another C-section because that's really what I didn't want. But then the doctor started pushing with me, and when I would push, she would like pull on my skin around there kind of, and just her doing that kind of got the contractions back regular again. So every time I'd have a contraction, I'd push and push and push, and then she was coming down the way she was supposed to. So she kept saying like, oh, maybe we'll do the pit, and then she's like, okay, well, forget about the pit because it was working, right? So and it's funny, I wanted to record this labor and delivery video so bad because it's all kind of like a blur already, and I'm so afraid of forgetting things. So it's 5 in the morning that I started pushing her, and I was over like on my back with my legs up pushing her out, and the doctor goes, oh, Danielle, you're crowning, and I'm like, yeah, I could feel it because it hurt so bad, just like, you know, the ring of fire they call it, and I'm like yelling and screaming. It's so funny because I make fun of people in labor videos that are so loud, and I've never, like, even pushing my daughter out, I'd make noise, but I wasn't like yelling. But I'm telling the doctor, I'm like, can you help? Can you pull her? Can you do something? So when I was asking her for help, she actually did an episiotomy to try to help get her out. So we got past her head, her shoulders, and she was out. They put her on my belly. She was born at 6:55 in the morning, and she was actually 2 weeks early. She was born at 38 weeks and 2 days, I believe. And she was covered in like the Vernex, I think it's called, the white stuff all over him. So my husband actually didn't get to cut the cord. I don't think they even asked him because they put her on my belly, but then they like after a minute like cut her, got her off and everything over to the warmer just to like get all the gunk off her and all out of her mouth because she had a lot of like the white junk like stuck up her nose and her mouth and all that. So they like wanted to suction everything, get her all like stable and good. So, yeah, then they wrapped her up, and I got to hold her, and she looks, I kept asking my husband, because they were stitching me up, and he was over there with her, so I kept going, who does she look like? Because we have a daughter, and we have a son, and I'm like, well, which one of them does she look like? And he was like, he didn't have an answer, and I'm like, what? But when I saw her, too, like, I mean, she looks like their sister, but she does look different. Like, I thought she would look exactly like my daughter just because she's a girl and she's a girl. They would just look exactly the same. And they don't. She actually looks different. My son and my daughter both have a dimple in their chin because that they got from their father, like a cleft chin. And she doesn't, which I thought was so funny because I'm like, how come two would, not one? And he thinks she looks like me. So, my husband does. So, it's cute though that she's got like her own look. I mean, they all look related, obviously, but they each got their own little like characteristics. So, not long after that, I started nursing her because I wanted to right away. And she did good. We were in the hospital. We got there Friday night. She was born Saturday morning. So we're there all day Saturday. And then Sunday we wanted to go home. We could have gone home Monday, but we wanted to go home Sunday because we wanted to get, you know, settled back into routine. My daughter had school Monday. So Sunday afternoon, we had our little special lunch thing, me and my husband, and then we went home Sunday afternoon. And Saturday afternoon was when we first started getting visitors and stuff, and it was when my daughter, my older daughter, and my son got to come and see their sister for the first time, and I took a million pictures, and it was just so sweet because, like, I kept telling my kids that their baby sister wasn't coming till after Valentine's Day, so it was like, surprise, because she was early. So they were like, oh, the baby's here, you know. So they weren't really, I mean, they were prepared. They knew she was coming, but I kept saying Valentine's Day first and then the baby because they kept asking me when she was coming, and then it was like, surprise. And when my husband's grandma went to pick up my son from preschool, he actually asked her, are Mommy and Daddy going to push the baby out? Because that's what we were telling him was going to happen. So it was cute that he, like, put two and two together like that and kind of realized what was happening. So, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I guess that's it. Like I said, I was real anxious to record this because I don't want to forget, like, what happened. Like, her birth was so, like, amazing, I say, and I'm so happy it got to be a VBAC like I wanted it to. Because there was actually another VBAC in the hospital at the same time, and she ended up in the operating room. which wasn't very encouraging, but it worked out, and my husband was amazing, and I guess that's it. So, yep, we're all doing good now. I guess that's it. Bye.